So headhunters, to understand how to write to headhunters, we need to understand how they work. Headhunters before coronavirus would receive on average 50 unsolicited CVs per day. Unsolicited means they have not asked for them. So it's candidates finding their email addresses and contacting them directly proactively. 50 CVs per day is 250 CVs per week, 1,000 CVs per month, and 12,000 CVs per year for one person. This is not per company, but this is per consultant in a recruitment firm. And that headhunter, on top of passively receiving so many CVs, they usually have anywhere between 5 and 15 parallel ongoing recruitment projects that very often they need to close because they are paid based upon success. So there's high pressure on speed, and they have their own KPIs. Some recruitment companies are here a bit more aggressive than others. KPIs can mean how many business development calls you make per day, how many sales or client meetings you have, etc., etc. So this is a high pressure environment with lots of emails, lots of deadlines, lots of sales targets, etc. Now, this is before coronavirus. During coronavirus, they're flooded with CVs, as you can probably imagine. So what does that mean now from a candidate's perspective? Again, if you've tracked our literature, you will see that we used to recommend getting in touch with 30 to 40 headhunters. Our recommendation now is to reach out to more than 50 headhunters per country, unless the country is city-driven. City-driven countries are Germany, the United States, so where there are more than 3 or 4 big cities outside of the capital. Poland could be partly a city-driven country, meaning that the ecosystem around Frankfurt is big enough to reach out to recruiters independently in Frankfurt and independently in Berlin and independently in Munich, etc. And why now more than 50? Because more than 50 also means reaching out to smaller organizations, not only the top 10 or the biggest 10, etc. Companies, from a company perspective, working with the top 10 or the best 10 or the largest 10 recruitment agencies usually also means increased costs. In times of crisis, companies need to reduce costs. We can very much imagine that companies will try to find alternative local solutions that are not worse in terms of quality. So it's good to diversify the list of headhunters and also reach out to smaller ones, including freelancers. Headhunters, the type of headhunters, you can find generalists, or they specialize in roles or industry, sometimes both. I already mentioned that they are paid upon success, or the type they're paid in a retained form, which means that they are paid in stages depending on the stages of the recruitment process, irrespectively of success. And usually, and it doesn't matter if it's success or in stages, recruitment firms would receive anywhere between 10 and 33% of the gross annual remuneration, spelling mistake, of the candidates, of the hired candidate salary. Okay, where do you find recruiters? You can find them on Google rankings. If you type in best recruitment firm Berlin or Rome, you'll immediately have lists. LinkedIn, you can see what type of recruitment companies or executive search firms publish job ads. And for those who are experienced managers and executives, you can look up the members on aesc.org, and aesc.org is the Association of Executive Search and Leadership Consultants. So those are in vast majority retained executive search firms that recruit at board level, sometimes board -1. Where do you find the email address? This is usually an easy one because they do publish it on the website or LinkedIn or Xing. However, having said that, contact them first by email, not by LinkedIn or Xing. Attach your CV in PDF, knowing that it's very likely they'll ask about an open format later. Why don't we send the open format right away? Because very often the open format gets scrambled up on the screen, as we saw in the previous module. So first send it in PDF. Once you've made a good impression, they'll say, oh, please send me the open format. And even if it's scrambled up, they won't care anymore. They just want to be able to copy paste it, for example, into a report or a database. Here are tips on how to write the cover email. Define your box and help them read. I'll show you in a bit. A good subject line would be actually the type of role you're applying to or that you're interested in. And the text here, I'd like to ask you if your colleagues are currently recruiting for, and then the name of the role, and at the location if it's relevant. My profile, and here you summarize the unique selling proposition, but it's even shorter than as if you're writing to your potential boss. Attached my CV, and that's it. So when using Headhunters as a channel, step number 1, make a list of those, make a list of companies. Step number 2, find the most relevant consultant. Step number 3, find their email address. Step number 4, contact them. Step number 5, follow up within 7 to 10 business days if you haven't received any response. Now let's look at the differences between the cover emails to Headhunters and your potential employer. In terms of length, to the Headhunter is short, to top, meaning your top employer, is still short, but a little bit longer. Level of detail. With the Headhunter, you define the box because at first sight, you need to understand, am I currently working, or is there any chance for me to be in the future be working on a certain type of role? And this is a very quick reaction at a yes or no. Here's the question, what is a box? A box is the role. So are you a sales director? Then you're in the sales director box. Or are you an operations manager? Then you are in the operations manager box. So the box means the label you put on yourself as a candidate. So they need to know, are you a general manager who makes 10,000 euro or a general manager who makes 50,000 euro a month? So that's the box. So they know through their own filters if you are a potentially relevant candidate for them or their colleagues at the firm. With the potential bosses, you also add your successes and your potential added value. Personalization with the Headhunter, how you address the person is enough. With the top, you saw there was an XXX name of company, so you also make sure to personalize name plus you mentioned the company by name. Attachments, with the Headhunters, only the CV. With your potential employers, if it's relevant to you, also add the business cases.
Hi, you have just watched a little fragment of all the know-how at Career Angels that goes into finding the best possible job. We have decided to put our know-how into one very thorough and structured course that is now available on Udemy. In that course, we will walk you through all 4 steps of the job hunting process. Step number 1 is about goal setting, realistic goal setting. We will explain career management theory backed by research, as well as walk you through the parameter bidding exercise. Step number 2 is about your unique selling proposition. In other words, how you position yourself on the current job market. Step number 3 is about communicating that in your CV for applicant tracking systems, and your optimized LinkedIn profile. Step number 4, the last step, is about managing and navigating the job hunting channels, meaning how to network, how to apply to job ads, how to contact headhunters, and how to contact and reach out to decision makers at the companies you would like to work for. So in summary, the course is very thorough, explains all our methodology, and is now available on Udemy. Summarizing, our course on Udemy walks you through the 4 steps of the job search process. Why did we decide to publish it? We did that so that your own job search becomes less frustrating, faster, and more effective. If you'd like to check it out, find the link down there in the description.